May we call on the treatment czar to give us also welcome remarks, Yusek Leopoldo Vega.
Thank you, ma'am. Pleasant good morning to all. It's really a pleasure and honor to have you all and have the launching of the One Hospital Command today. First, allow me to mention the key personalities here. First, I'd like to greet good morning to Sec Del Lorenzana, Secretary Duque, and of course, Sec Charlie, Sec Vince, Chairman Danilo Lim, GM Jojo, and USEC Emil Sadain of the DPWH, my DOH family, the MMDA family, all workers in government, public service, good morning to you all. This concept has been, conceptualized since the early part of July. And we are so happy that everybody chipped in terms of resources, in terms of efforts to make sure that we have the One Hospital Command. Allow me to give a special mention, of course, to Ari Perez of the BCDA. They were very instrumental in terms of supporting us. And the Health Emergency Unit of Director Global BOA, thank you, ma'am. You provided us enough support coming from our Health Emergency Unit. And then Dr. Bernadette Velasco, we had to detail from East Avenue to make sure that he will be the operations manager for the One Hospital Command. And of course, all of the collective efforts of PCM, or the Philippine College of Emergency Medicine. I think that Chancellor Herbosa is here to make sure that we will be able to coordinate all of our efforts. My DOH family for giving us all the resources through Secretary Duque, of course, and our offsite call center, which is Pure Force, who will roughly make the necessary calls and response coming from the different institutions. So I'm happy to launch. We're all happy to launch this, and a pleasant morning to all. And we will learn from our efforts from this launching on how best we can improve our services for coordinated care. Salamat po and good morning.
Thank you, Dr. Vega. At this juncture, to give us his inspirational message, may we call on the Chief Implementer of the National Task Force of COVID-19, Secretary Carlito G. Galvez.
Sa ating po pinagdaganang mga opisyalis ng ating IATF, nandito po si Secretary Francisco Duque, our Secretary of DOH and Chairman of IATF, Secretary Delphine Lorenzana, the Chairman of the NTF against COVID-19 in our SND, may ninong, Secretary Vince Dizon, ito yung taong ayaw natutulog at walang pahinga. Bawal sa kanya matulog at magpahinga. Kaya nagagalit na sa akin ng misis niya. Secretary Vince Dizon, the Deputy Chief Implementer, NAP against COVID-19. Sir, ang aking idol is si Chairman Danilo Lim. Sir, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng inyong accommodation here. Maraming salamat sa inyong tulong sa amin. Si Yusek Arturo Garcia, the General Manager, the Jojo, idol. Maraming salamat po. And then, nandito rin po ang ating napaka-passionate at saka very empathic na treatment char and Chief One Hospital Command, Yusek Leopoldo Vega, Yusek Emil Sadain, Representative Sec Mark Villar. Ito masipag din po ng gawa ng mga treatment facility para doon ma-detain ang mga positive. Dito rin po ang ating representative ni Secretary Rolly Bautista, Yusek Glenn Pahe, DSWD and also from TG RML. Dito rin po ang representative ng ating mahal na Secretary Anyo, Yusek General Felix, birthday mate. Birthday ko po yan, kaya mabait po. Sa lahat po na nandito po ngayon, ang ating mga secretaries and undersecretaries, assistant secretaries at mga opisyal ng DOH at ang NTF, ang ating mga consultants, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. The launching of the One Hospital Command Center today is a giant leap forward in our anti-COVID response. Kailangan po natin ang mekanismong ito. This system will help the government in efficiently oversee the coordination and referral of patients across health facilities and ensure that we have enough hospital beds for moderate and severe COVID cases. Alam niyo po, si Yusek Vega, siya mismo pumupunta sa lahat ng ospital at talagang siya po ang nagano ng expansion ng mga hospitals, lalo na sa East Avenue, Quirino Memorial Hospital, sa Lung Center, and then pumunta rin po sa PGH. Maraming salamat sir sa iyong dedication. This One Hospital Command will maximize the use of our temporary treatment and monitoring facilities which have been built specifically for mild and asymptomatic cases. We thank Sec Mark Villar and Sec Vince Dizon for their task and their dedication in really building more than thousands of beds for our mega quarantine facility and mega swabbing facility. Hindi na po maghihintay ang COVID-19 patient na mabigyan siya ng karapatan lunas. Through this system, we will significantly reduce the waiting time for patients to be admitted. Paramihan po ang mga namamatay, nagkakaroon po ng DOA because hindi po nabibigyan ng sa ER. So ito po, maganda pong sistema po ito para yung admission and waiting time will be reduced. Dahil prioridad po ng ating mahal na Pangulo ang gumaling ang bawat Pilipino na may COVID-19. Sa pamamagitan ng sistemang ito, maibababa natin ang mortality rate ng mga COVID and non-COVID patients na siyang isa sa pangunahing layunin ng second phase ng National Action Plan Against COVID-19. Yun po ang sinasabi ng ating mahal na Secretary Francisco Duque na kailangan pababain natin ang ating fatality rate to the minimum level so that we can open up our economy. Without doing that, we cannot open up and recover our economy. I would like to thank and congratulate everyone here who made this initiative a reality, especially Undersecretary Bong Vega for taking on this Herculean and responsibility to build up this one hospital command. Palakpakan po natin si Yusek Leopoldo Vega. Sir, yung resources ng OPAP, SecBong, yung resources ng OPAP, we will dedicate some of them for you. Para ano po, titingnan po namin pagka na-aproban po yung aming pondo for COVID-19, we will dedicate more at saka we will mobilize some public and private support for you. So maraming salamat po at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you, Secretary Galvez. At this juncture, may we hear his message, the Chair IATF of Department of Health, Secretary Francisco T. Duque III.
Maraming salamat, Rosalie, sa iyong pagpapakilala. At ibig kong bigyan pagkilala ang akin pong mga katuwang. Kasama sa ating Interagency Task Force, ang atin pong tagapangulo o Chairperson of the National Task Force National Incident Command, si Secretary Del Lorenzana. Bigyan po natin siya ng isang masigabong palakpakan sa kanya pong paggabay sa ating tugon laban sa COVID-19 pandemic. At kasama ko ang sa akin pong isip lamang na hindi ko madalas maibuhang bibig. Yung tambalan, Batman and Robin ng NTF, si Secretary Charlie Galvez Jr., ang Chief Implementer ng NTF, at ang kanyang human dynamo partner, hindi natutulog. Kaya talaga naman ay nakakabilib dahil yung multitasking, itong taong ito talagang kabighani at ang daming nilang ginagawa ni Secretary Galvez. Si Secretary Vince Dizon, who serves as the concurrent President and CEO of the Bases Conversion Development Authority. Ang atin pong tulay, sa gitna po ng IATF at ang Metro Manila Development Authority, sila po ang tumutulay sa atin pong mga mayors constituting the Metro Manila Development Council, Chairman Danny Lim, and of course his very hardworking General Manager, Jojo Garcia. And of course, we have a very low-key but very productive professional civil servant in the person of Undersecretary Emil Sadain of DPWH. We have the representative of Secretary Ed Año, General Felix of the DILG, and of course my DOH family, Yusek Jerry Bayugo, ASEC Francie Laksamana, our very hardworking, dedicated, committed directors, Glo Balboa, Global, as we call her. We have Director Ariel Valencia. We have the soon-to-be appointed Assistant Secretary, Dr. Romy Ong, and our dedicated consultants, Dr. Ted Herbosa, Dr. Bong Bueno, and all the other representatives of the various agencies or member agencies of the Interagency Task Force. At muli, sa ngalan po ng IATF at ng DOH, ako po ay bumabati sa inyo ng isang mabunga at makasaysayang araw dahil po sa atin na paglungsad na tinatawag natin One Hospital Command Center sa pamunuan ng isa sa pinakamagaling na hospital or medical center chiefs ng buong Pilipinas dahil kanya pong pinangasiwaan ang Southern Philippines Medical Center, one of the largest, if not the largest, DOH retained medical center. And where if you go and visit SPMC, it is evident that the progress that has been accomplished over the few years. You know, I appointed Dr. Bong Vega in 2009 as the medical center chief during my first stint as Secretary of Health. And that is why when his name was floated, I immediately agreed because I said, I know the caliber of this person, and it is small wonder that now he leads a more challenging undertaking, which is really this One Hospital Command Center that is meant to be a seamless integration of hospital care delivery system. And as Sec Charlie was saying earlier, sana po ang ating pinupuntirya rito ay hindi na masyadong katagalan ng pag-aantay ng ating pong mga pasyente. Ngunit ang kaakibat na hamon sa ating pong pagsulong ng ating One Hospital Command ay ang magkaroon tayong sistema na ang mga pasyente, mild and asymptomatic, ay sana po huwag nang magtatagal masyado sa mga ospital at magkaroon ng sistema na naniniwala po ako na kasama po yan sa kanyang plano na mailipat sila as early as possible to the isolation facilities or quarantine facilities. And it's a bit more of a challenge for the private hospitals because yung clientele po ng mga private hospitals, medyo mahirap palikuran yung mga yan, como may mga kaya and demanding. So sabi nga namin, dapat maghanap ng mga hotel as a step-down facility. Dahil ang gusto po natin maiwasan, the overwhelming of our hospitals. And the less or the shorter period that they stay in the hospitals, the mild and the asymptomatics, I believe, is better. And so that the system must be able to adapt that arrangement. So ilipat natin, step down, but making sure that the care does not stop just because they are transferred to step-down facilities. In fact, all the more, to gain the confidence of these patients, they have to be shown that the care continues, which means the doctors will go to the step-down facilities, they will check on the patients. It's as if they were still in the hospital. So it's really an extension of care. So ako po ay nagpapasalamat sa lahat ng mga tumulong sa pagbuo ng ating One Hospital Command at I am extremely pleased, if not impressed, that in just so few days, they were able to put together this One Hospital Command. And look at the multi-monitoring screen all around us. Huge screens to monitor the occupancy of the various hospitals, not just in Metro Manila. This is the model. This will soon be followed by the other hospitals in the different regions. So, napaka-mahalaga po ito na maging maayos at maging tagumpay ang operations ng ating One Hospital Command para po nang sa ganon ay tunay natin makamit yung seamless integration of hospital care delivery. At of course, the few metrics that I'd like to emphasize as we have set up this One Hospital Command will be your critical care utilization rate. Bantayan natin yan, yung mga importanteng panukatan at pamantayan. So yung panukatan, ito po yung mga metrics natin of hospital ward beds, of isolation beds, of ICU beds, and life-saving, nasal flow cannula, and mechanical ventilators. And so these are very important metrics that this command center, I believe, will monitor very, very closely so that we know if a particular hospital is already overwhelmed, then that hospital has to be decongested by opening up or by a clear referral and patient navigation system so that there is actually an equalization of patient distribution and occupancy in those hospitals. So, mabuhay ka, Yusek Bong Vega. Alam kong mabigat itong hamon, pero hamon natin lahat po ito at kinakailangan siguraduhin po natin maging matagumpay ang pagsasakatuparan ng mga layunin, ng magagandang layunin ng ating One Hospital Command Center at siya ay maging isang modelo na tularan sa mga iba't ibang regions at dahil ikaw naman ang ating inatasan ng IATF, ng DOH na mamuno sa sistema nito ay madali na pag-ibayuhin ito sa mga iba't ibang rehiyon at mga iba't ibang mga ospital, both public and private hospitals. Na ito po ay iuugnay din doon naman po sa ginagawa ng ating USEC Jenny Bayugo, yung pong TTMFs, the Temporary Treatment and Monitoring Facility, na para masiguro po natin na yung continuum of care ay talagang malinaw na ibinibigay po ng ating gobyerno at ang ating po mga katuwang na pribadong mga ospital. So, in the spirit and under the principle of universal health care, what we are doing today is really accelerating universal health care. And this is really the core of my message, that we cannot be so myopic to think that what we're doing today is just because we want to respond effectively to the COVID-19. But the broader, bigger picture is really pushing the universal health care. And this is an acid test of how well this nation is going to be able to realize the manifold objectives of universal health care. Sa muli, sa ngalan ng ATF, ako po ay nagpapasalamat at tumabati sa inyo ng isa pong napakamagandang araw. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po sa ating napakasipag na DOH Secretary Duque. Kasama po kayo sa aming mga prayers na sana malampasan nating lahat ang pagsubok na ito. Ngayon naman po, para paliwanagan tayo para sa flowchart ng ating One Hospital Command Center, may we call on Dr. Bernadette Velasco.
Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. I'll be showing to you the process flow on how the community, the hospitals, and the quarantine facility to link with the One Hospital Command Center. The One Hospital Command Center, a collaboration of all hospitals and the extension of service to the temporary treatment monitoring facility and isolation hotels. The goal of OHC is to unify hospital response to COVID-19 and with its objective of establishing a One Hospital Command to optimize the use of critical care services in hospital and strengthening the health system capacity. Going to the command center, the whole COVID-19 command center will be composed of 4 interlinking groups to fight this pandemic. These are OHC, Oplan Kalinga, aggressive community testing, and contact tracing. With a well-defined utilize of the available beds in the hospital and the quarantine facilities, we will be able to allocate beds and prioritize COVID-19 cases according to their needs. It is also important to note that OHCC will not only coordinate with government hospitals, but with privately owned health facilities too. The OHCC will be powered by an off-site call center, taking and dispatch company due to the expectation of large volume of calls and referrals, and for the OHCC staff to focus on directing and coordinating the COVID-19 case referrals. For OHCC, during this partnership with the off-site call-taking company, we will be using 2 systems of PureForce, namely the PureForce Citizen application and the PureForce computer-aided dispatch system. The One Hospital Command Center can be accessed in 3 ways. First, the use of the PureForce Citizen app, which is available on both Play Store and App Store free. Second, through the dedicated direct lines, which are 02-8650500 and cell phone numbers of 0915-777-7777 and 0919-977-3333. Lastly, through the quick response or QR codes. The community, hospitals, quarantine facilities can access the OHCC with the three mentioned ways. Once details are gathered by the call takers, they will automatically enter this to the computer-aided dispatch system of Pure Force. Series of questions that been given by OHCC will be asked during the call taking, so it will be easier for the OHCC coordinators to facilitate transfer. The details will then be sent to the OHCC Pure Force system here in MMDA, indicating that there is a new event or new case to be handled. Inside the command center are different coordinators from various agencies. Using the dashboards from DOH, the coordinators will be able to identify where to bring the patient for appropriate care. Aside from that, prioritization or triaging will be executed. Upon identifying the receiving facility, coordinator will then call the hospital or quarantine facility. Upon acceptance, the coordinator will update the Pure Force computer-aided dispatch system for the call takers to update the referring facility or citizen. In times where there is an urgent need on medical care, the call taker will simultaneously coordinate with the receiving facility together with the OHCC coordinators, and as well giving pre-arrival instruction when there is an emergent care needed. And in cases where there is just inquiry or concern, the call taker will just handle the case and answer accordingly based on protocols. The process of transferring from a referring facility to OHCC to a receiving facility may sound simple and easy, but the challenge here is to look for an available bed, especially with the current situation. A clustering approach will be done to look for an available bed before crossing to another cluster. Hospital and quarantine facility update of available bed in the dashboard and acceptance of referrals are very crucial in this situation. Lastly, the logo of the One Hospital Command Center symbolizes interoperability, linkages, cooperation, one approach, and sharing of resources, which are all important to beat COVID-19. With everyone working as one, we can claim victory. And this is the process of how the One Hospital Command Center will go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doktora. I'm sure marami tayong matutulungan at marami tayong masasave na buhay dahil dito sa project na ito. At this juncture, may we call on the Chair of the National Task Force of COVID-19, the Secretary of Department of National Defense, Secretary Delphine L. Lorenzana.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Hindi ko na isa-isahin yung mga nabanggit kanina. Ay, umpisahan ko na lang yung sasabihin ko. Gusto ko lang susugan yung sinabi ng mga nauna sa akin tungkol dito sa One Hospital Command Center. Isa lang ang layunin nito ay ang pangasiwaan yung paggamit ng ating mga ospital dito sa Metro Manila. At sa susunod ng mga araw siguro, magtatayo din tayo ng ganitong One Hospital Center sa iba-ibang region. Ngayon, sabi ko nga ang layunin nito ay pangasiwaan yung mga ospital, pati na yung mga treatment centers. Kasi po, ang nangyari nito mga nakaraang araw, ay may mga pasyente na wala na hindi na matanggap ng ibang hospital dahil puno na raw. Kami nga sa task force nakatanggap ng mga tawag ng mga may sakit na talagang walang mapuntahan at nag-iyakan na. Sabi nila ay wala ng ospital. Pero nung kami ay magtawag, meron naman. So itong center na to, yung mga ngasiwa, silang magmo-monitor kung anong mga ospital ang puno, yung mga may bakante pa, saka yung mga pwede pang tumanggap. So, napakaganda nito at maiwasan na natin yung mga taong hindi makapunta sa hospital. Importante din na ang lugar na ito ay accessible 24 hours a day para kung sino man, kung mayroong magkasakit na kahit anong oras ng araw, mayroon silang matawagan at matugunan yung kanilang pangangailangan. Ako nagpapasalamat kay Chairman Lim na naibigay niya itong lugar na ito. Naunahan mo lang ako, Danny, kasi kung hindi ka nag-open, I will open also some facilities in the GHQ. Saka, I wish the head of this one hospital center, good luck. Mong, kung kailangan mo ng additional troops at tao, bihin mo lang at magpadala ko rin ng sundalo. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Secretary Lorenzana. We would like to acknowledge also the member and the Vice Chairman NTF COVID-19 from DILG, although he was not able to attend today, Secretary Eduardo M. Anyo. And at this juncture, may we call on the Deputy Chief Implementor of the NTF COVID-19, the President of the BCDA, the good-looking Secretary, Vivencio B. Dizon.
Nakakaya naman di pa mabilis ang point. Una po si GM Jojo Garcia po, ang host natin dito Nagpapasalamat tayo kay Chairman Danny, kay GM Jojo sa pag-host natin sa atin dito sa One Hospital Command. And especially sa trabaho na ginawa nila dito sa tulong ng ating treatment czars, Undersecretary Bong Vega, kay Dr. Global, kay Dr. Paz, sa buong team, sa team natin sa BCDA, kay Aray, kay Daryl, kay Mike Sagalima, sila po talaga tinransform itong gym na ito in a matter of days into a fully functioning command center. So makikita niyo po dyan, live po yung data na yan. Medyo, alam niyo naman ngayon, medyo nasa critical stage tayo sa laban natin, lalo na sa NCR. So itong MECQ natin in the next 2 weeks, napaka-maganda ganda ng timing ng pagbukas ng One Hospital Command kasi kailangan natin ito para sa ating mga hospitals ngayon dito sa Metro Manila and sa Calabarzon. So unang-una po, maraming salamat sa lahat and araw-araw po si Yusek Bong, 7:30 a.m. kausap po lahat ng hospital sa Metro Manila. Wala pong patid dyan, everyday 7:30 a.m. para lang po masigurado na natutulungan natin ang mga hospitals natin na i-manage ang mga kaso natin ng COVID-19. At malaki po talaga may tutulong nitong One Hospital Command na ito sa pag-manage natin in the coming days, weeks, and months. So again po, thank you so much, Yusek Bong, for all the hard work. Director Global, Dr. Paz, and everyone from DOH, of course led by Secretary Duque, our Chairman, and Secretary of Health, and Secretary Del, and of course our Chief Implementer, Secretary Charlie Galvez. Maraming salamat po.
To represent naman po the isolation SAR from DPWH, may we call on Yusek Emil Sadaing.
Thank you, Rosalie. Magandang umaga po sa atin lahat. In behalf of Secretary Mark Villar, DPWH family, amin pong taus-pusong pinapaabot ang aming pagbate sa IATF, NTF principals na nandito po sa atin sa pagpupuna po ni Sec Duque, Sec Del Lorenzana, Sec Charlie Calvez, Sec Vince Dizon, MMDA Chair Danny Lim, of course sina GM Jojo Garcia, Yusek Bong, si Sec Ed Anyo. Kami po sa DPWS ay patuloy po sumusuporta sa ganitong gawain po. This is a very laudable launching of a more comprehensive and unified command center in response to COVID-19.
Sa DPWS po, meron po kaming station command din, but these are more on data as to the implementation ng various quarantine isolation facilities sa pamumuno po ni Sec. Mark Villar. At ito po ay ginagampanan ng buong 16 regions nationwide at saka 184 district offices. Sabay-sabay po ito ginagawa sa kasalukuyan. In fact, we had about 261 nakasalang, of which 156 na tapos na, and about 105 of these are actually for completions by this August or early September. And this can hold around 13,000 bed capacity. Meron pa pong about 500 more additional na facilities ginagawa po natin pangkalahatan sa buong Pilipinas, and this will be also for implementation sa ASAP, no? Nasa advanced stage na din siya ng design at saka procurement. So lahat po ito will actually complement and synchronize the overall macro record system na nandito po naka-house sa MMDA. Amin din pong pinapabot ang pagbati kay Yusek Bombega because we've been doing a lot also of sharing kung saan ang DPWS can also give technical and construction assistance sa mga hospital sa kung saan may mga problema, like yung East Sabino Medical Center, kung saan nung isang araw nandun po kami, and we would like to expedite to push the contractors working for a 24/7 schedule, and August 15 is going to be the final completion. So about 210 bed capacity pang nakapaloob na matatapos niyan. And there's one also, the first modular hospital that we will be building inside the Quezon Institute. We are also have agreed with Yusek Bong on the conceptual design. Katatapos lang po naman pinirma ng isang araw, and we would be glad to start this by this month of August. So ito po can accommodate about 110 of bed capacity that can accommodate moderate COVID patients po, no? Karagdagan po doon sa hospitals na ginagawa po natin ngayon. So, ganun din po, as I mentioned, buo po kami sa department, tutulong po sa buong ITF, sa buong NTF, to support all the efforts of the government in pursuing a unified response sa COVID-19. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Yusek Sadain. Ngayon naman po, para sa ating closing remark, bago tayo mag-proceed sa ating ribbon cutting, may we call on our very own Chairman of the Metro Manila Development Authority, Chairman Danilo de Lapus Lun.
Magandang umaga sa ating lahat, mga kasama ko sa serbisyo publiko. MMDA is pleased to host this very important office, yung ating One Hospital Command Center. Napakahalaga ng opisinang ito dahil dito natin lilukumin lahat ng makakalap na impormasyon galing sa mga iba't ibang hospital, mga LGUs, at sa ating mga kababayan, at pag-aaralan at ipuproseso na siyang magiging giya natin sa ating mga desisyon at mga susunod na aksyon. Sa opisinang ito, lahat ng report o impormasyon na makararating o matatanggap ay magkakaroon ng karampatang aksyon. Napakahalaga ng opisinong ito dahil dito natin maipapakita ang pagkakaisa ng lahat ng ahensya na nagtutulong-tulong laban sa COVID. Ang ating laban ay hindi kaya ng isang ahensya lamang, ng DOH, ng DILG, ng DSWD. Sama-sama tayo sa laban na ito. We need everyone to stand up, to be counted, and try to help make a difference. So ang hamon nating lahat na hinaharap ay hamon ng pagkakaisa, pagtutulungan at pag-oorganisa. Kung tayo ay nagkakaisa at organisado, walang dahilan, there's no reason kung bakit tayo ay hindi magtatagumpay laban sa laban na ito. So again, kasama tayong lahat sa laban. Kailangan nating maghawak kamay, magkapit-bisig, magtulong-tulong, magsama-sama, at sama-sama natin talunin, gapiin ang pandemyang ito. Again, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Good morning.
Marami pong salamat, Chairman Lim. Sabi nga po, together we will heal as one. Ayan. Ngayon naman po, pupunta na po tayo dito sa mga speakers. Tayo na lang po tayo para sa ribbon cutting. May we call on Secretary Chairman Lim, Secretary Duque, Secretary Dizon, ayan, and Secretary Lorenzana. And siguro po we can stand at the sticker kung saan nandun yung pangalan natin. And remind lang po natin yung physical distancing. Live po tayo sa Facebook, baka po tayo makita. Reminder lang po yung ating physical distancing. We are live on Facebook. Baka po tayo masilip. May we call on our dear secretaries, our distinguished guests, to proceed here for the press conference. We will start na po with the press con. And I will now turn over the microphone to ASEC Celine Pialago.
Yes, ma'am. Antayin lang po nating maupo yung ating mga secretaries. Good morning. We got several questions po mula po sa ilang mga kasamahan natin sa media. Yung first question po addressed to our Secretary Galvez, Secretary Duque, and to our Czar Vince Dizon from Donna Magsino po ng GMA News Online. First question, sir. Philippines is nearly overtaking Indonesia as top COVID country in Southeast Asia. Are there adjustments being done in the government's COVID response? Second question, gentlemen. How is the IATF using the 2-week MECQ to develop or implement new initiatives? Do we expect fewer cases after 2 weeks?
With our engagement with the different health professionals and also associations, we agreed na titingnan natin, we will recalibrate our plan and also make the use of these 15 days in order to prepare us from this COVID pandemic crisis. As we expected, yung 15 days niyan is not enough to address or arrest or contain the new cases. But we will continue to work hard na yung lahat ng mga strategies natin ay mapababa natin talaga ang new cases at the same time, minimize yung death. Sa ngayon po, ginagamit po natin ang 15 days. One is nagpupunta po tayo sa lahat ng mga critical areas para po turuan ang ating mga LGUs at saka mga ating health professionals on how to implement yung tinatawag nating localized zoning and lockdown. Binigyan po natin sila ng tinatawag nating briefing sa LGU Toolkit. Ito po ay nakita po natin kasi yung lahat po na ginagawa natin sa COVID. Importante po ang role at leadership ng ating mga LGUs at saka yung tinatawag nating local health officers. Sinasabi nga nating mahal na Presidente na yung pandemic crisis na to, dapat ito, though it is national-led, should be operationalized at the LGU level. So sa ngayon po, ang ginagawa po natin through the One Health Command, kinakapacitate po natin ang ating health capacity. Dinadagdagan po natin ang ICU bed para ma-address natin ang increasing admissions ng different hospitals sa mga severe at critical cases. Sa ngayon po, nagtutuwang po si Secretary Villar, Secretary Vince Dizon, Yusek Vega, na mapaayos ang ating at ma-convert ang East Avenue na maging COVID-dedicated hospital. It will provide 250 isolation and ward beds. At the same time, additional ICU, more or less 20 to 30 ICU beds. Ganon din ang Quirino Memorial Hospital that it can provide 50 ICU beds and 100 isolation and ward beds. Ganon din po ang PGH, in-expand po natin ang PGH at it will can accommodate more or less 50 to additional 100 beds. Ganon din po ang Lung Center at ang Quezon Institute. So after this, ang gagawin po namin, ang ginawa po namin, si Secretary Vince Dizon, nilatak niya po ang lahat ng mga visit natin sa different LGUs at mga mayors ng NCR. So tatapusin po namin ang visit niya simultaneous, ang lahat po ng ating member ng IATF, NTF, at ang ating mga sa implementation sa One Health Command, ay bibisitahin po natin ang lahat ng mga LGUs this week. Matatapos po natin ang NCR this week. Mamaya po, pupunta po kami ng Parañaque ni Yusek Vega at bibisitahin po namin ang Parañaque. At ganoon din po, ang One Health Command ay bibisitahin rin po ang lahat ng mga hospital para tingnan po natin ang kanilang mga preparations at para po mapagkaroon ng tinatawag na support sa ating mga healthcare workers. So yun po ang ginagawa po natin ngayon at ang DOH po ay nagkakaroon ng massive recruitment para magkaroon po tayo ng reserve for our healthcare workers para at least makapagpahinga po. Meron tayong tinatawag na relief para sa ating mga health workers na talagang ngayon ay nagsusumikap na they continue to save lives and treat more patients even though they are being exposed for COVID for more than 150 days now. Maraming salamat po at we are assured that the government will always proceed and continue to care for our health workers. Sa ngayon po, ang gagawin po natin talaga concentrated ang ating mga activity in order to reconstitute, motivate, and also to preserve our health workers. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, sir. Second question, yes, sir, Vince.
Sige po, siguro po, no, bago po namin ipasa kay Yusek Bong Vega ang ating treatment SAR, isa-summarize ko lang po no, yung mga napaka-importante po ng tanong ng kasama natin sa media from GMA. Ano ang gagawin in this 2-week period? So isa-summarize ko lang. Unang-una, pinapaigting natin ang testing at tracing sa ating mga communities. Araw-araw po pumupunta kami sa iba't ibang mga LGU para i-intensify natin yung testing tracing and isolation ng mga kababayan nating magpopositibo sa COVID-19. Ito ang way para medyo mapabagal natin ang pagtaas ng kaso. Dahil alam naman natin, nung nagbukas tayo ng ekonomiya at hindi naman tayo pwedeng hindi na magbukas ng ekonomiya, lalong-lalo na marami sa mga kababayan natin ay kailangan tuloy-tuloy magtrabaho, talagang tumaas ang level of transmission. At ang paraan lang para mapabagal natin ito ay mag-test tayo, mag-trace tayo ng mas aggressive at immediately i-isolate natin ang mga magpo-positibo. Kaya dito po sa One Hospital Command Center, makikita nyo dito yung lahat ng mga positibo na ina-isolate natin na nanggagaling sa mga communities. No, sa loob ng 2 linggo, mahigit 1,000 na ang na-isolate natin sa NCR at meron pa sa Region 4A. Kaya tayo'y kumuha na ng mga karagdagang mga facilities tulad ng mga hotel under sa Oplan Kalinga. Sa kasalukuyan, meron tayong mga 1,700 rooms at halos 1,400 na ang occupied ngayon. Kaya magdadagdag pa tayo. Dodoblin pa natin yung 1,700 na yon sa susunod na linggo at aabot na tayo ng mahigit na 3,000 rooms sa hotels. Ang ginagawa din natin ngayon ay ang DPWH sa pamumuno ng ating isolation SAR, si Secretary Mark Villar, ay magbubukas ng dagdag na 3,000 additional beds sa ating mga We Heal As One centers dito sa Metro Manila at sa Region 3 at Region 4A. Sa kasalukuyan, meron na tayong 3,000 pero magdadagdag pa tayo ng 3,000 beds at magbubukas yan lahat ngayong Agosto. Sa susunod na linggo, i-inspeksyonin natin yung mga ongoing na construction ng ating mga bagong We Heal As One centers sa NCR at sa Region 3 at Region 4. At kagaya ng sinabi din ni Secretary Galvez at i-elaborate ni Yusek Bong Vega, marami din tayong mga dinadagdag sa ating mga hospital facilities. No, halos 500 new beds, COVID beds ang idadagdag natin sa East Avenue Medical Center at sa Quirino Hospital ngayong buwan ng Agosto. So yung po ang mga ginagawa natin ngayon, no, na very concrete para sa loob ng 2 linggo at sa buwan ng Agosto, madadagdagan pa natin ang ating capacity na i-manage ang ating mga cases. No? So ipapasa ko lang kay Yusek Bong Vega para sa iba pang mga details.
Thank you, Sec. Vince, and good morning to all listeners. First of all, the Department of Health responded to the calls of the healthcare workers who have fallen in. And through the recommendation and approved by the President himself, the President has already took measures in terms of giving risk allowance for the private care nurses or healthcare workers. They would also provide transportation, lodging, and of course the recruitment of these healthcare workers both in the private and healthcare workers in public and private. We are in need of almost 10,000 healthcare workers, and this means that the call of timeout really means it's substitution. We're not going to end the game, but rather we will just have to find fresh or new recruits into the system so that the efficiency of our healthcare workers will be there. So that's one of the response of the Department of Health with regards to the call of the healthcare workers. And second, I'd like to mention this also, na itong One Hospital Command is not just an op center in the platform of the MMDA where we can do coordinated care and referrals, but we are also here for the strengthening the capacity. And as has been mentioned by Sec. Galvez and Sec. Vince, that strengthening capacity would mean we need to identify ready hospitals that can accommodate intensive care or rooms for moderate cases. And one of these already to be inaugurated, and I'm going to say this now because with the concurrence of the DPWH, the contractor of East Avenue Medical Center new building, we will soon inaugurate this or launch this as the main integrated facility for COVID by August 17. And we are going this fast because we're doing this because we know that we have to be prepared in response to COVID-19. And the other is we are also strengthening capacity by putting up modular hospitals. And one of the identified modular hospitals that can serve moderate and severe cases is in QI. But this is going to be an extension facility of Jose Reyes Memorial Hospital because it can never be a standalone. It has to be an extension facility of a level 3 hospital. And Jose Reyes Memorial Hospital has agreed to make this as the extension of their moderate and severe. And that can cover about 110 beds of moderate to severe cases in the modular hospital because it has all the necessary equipment to cater for this kind of cases. So we are also identifying other areas to improve capacity to make sure that we will be able to cope up with the desired number of cases soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question po directed to Yusek Vega once again. Sir, from Red Mendoza po ng Manila Times. Hospital capacity of Metro Manila is now at breaking point. How will the One Hospital Command Center solve the problem? Paano po if our hospital capacity has reached 100% dito sa Metro Manila? How is the support of the hospitals group sa ating OHC? Nagkasundo po ba ang mga Philippine Hospitals Association and the Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines sa One Hospital Command? Thank you, sir.
For the One Hospital Command, what we are trying to put here is a very coordinated care in terms of transfers and referrals and medical direction. I think all of the hospital directors would agree that it is much better to transfer moderate and severe cases rather than have them queue in the emergency room where the mortality is very high. And case in point, I'd like to share this with, I'd like to share this kind of experience that we had, I think the other day, when Marikina actually, or Amang Rodriguez actually had 12 moderate and severe cases in their hospitals. And 12 means that's going to be quite a number in terms of admission to a certain hospital because they're also in the vicinity of having full in their isolation, especially with intensive care units. So what we did was to coordinate this with the other networks because the One Hospital Command actually can look out for other networks or nodes in different regions, no? So we were able to get the region of Jose Lingad Hospital, which is actually right about 40 minutes away, to make sure that the patients in Amang would be admitted and be given the desired clinical treatment. So na-transfer ho namin sila dun sa 12, and it means that this is really all about coordinated care. Now, I agree that the hospitals here in Manila are, especially the wards and the isolation, if you take a look at the dashboard, talagang mataas yung admission rate. But if you take also a look in terms of the admissions, most of this, about more than probably 60% or even 70% of this, are really admitted for mild and asymptomatic cases, and they just feel that they have to be admitted in the hospitals. So I would strongly suggest to all that especially to the hospital directors, for positive, asymptomatic, and mild cases, they can actually be treated in a quarantine or an isolation facility. And that's the only way that we can decongest the hospitals, aside from, of course, expanding. Because the expansion of hospitals would mean that we have to treat the moderate and severe to lower down our case fatality rates. And I think this is really the reason why the One Hospital Command is here, to make sure that we have a very coordinated care, especially for moderate and severe cases.
Sec, pero marami pa pong follow-up questions addressed to you, Sec Vega. Sir, follow-up lang po ni Mr. Red Mendoza. Sino po ang dapat mag-report na may problema sa hospital capacity? Yung hospital po ba or yung pasyente? And since this is an internet-based system, may backup redundancy po ba itong system na ito in case of failure?
Okay, the One Hospital Command Center has a dashboard in terms of metrics and data. So saan ang gagaling itong data? The data actually comes from the different private and public hospitals, wherein they are given a standard data collect apps and of course a bed tracker. Now, the challenge really here for us to have a very good precision or appropriate data on real time is when the encoders in the different private and public hospitals are able to give the desired data to be collated by the Department of Health in terms of the data collect and the bed tracker. And this is what we have in the dashboard. So that's the very real challenge in terms of the transmission of data coming from DOM. And we would like to make it enforce the compliance of all hospitals in terms of making sure that they would have to submit the data collect and bed tracker to our national database, so that we will have a good picture and details of where the problem is in terms of bed utilization.
Yes, thank you, Yusek. Additional question po naman from Joseph Morong of GMA7. Yusek, what is the real status of our hospitals, and what will be the referral system of hospitals, and how would the public knows about this?
Well, since we launched the One Hospital Command, we have an off-site call center. And this call center we have a number for this, wherein they will process your calls. And if they are, it actually demands a transfer or coordinated care or a medical direction, they will be transferred to the MMDA responders, which is the base. And the MMDA responders actually will connect with the different incident commanders of different hospitals, whether they can actually accept or patients that would need intensive care treatment, or they are full. So that is the process. There is a call center, there is an MMDA responders, then we will call the incident commanders of the different hospitals, so that if there is a transfer and there is a need for an ambulance, if the hospital doesn't have, then MMDA comes in through the LGU for the LGU transfer for the ambulance or for the Bureau of Fire. So that basically is the process of doing this.
Thank you, Yusek. Next question po addressed for IATF. I think Secretary Galvez also can answer this. From Joseph Morong of GMA7. Secretary, in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, pinapalipat bahay po yung mga nagtatrabaho outside of San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. Wala raw pong papapasukin. Is it accurate?
We will check on it. Hindi pa nakarating yung report sa amin. We will check on this.
Okay, Secretary. Follow-up question din po ni Sir Joseph Morong. Can we share, Secretary, how many critical areas we have in Metro Manila, and what are we doing to them right now?
May mga designated tayo na mga critical areas, yung mga barangays and also yung mga zones na critical. The LGUs have established a good surveillance and tracking of those critical areas na ang ginagawa nila is nila-lockdown nila. That's why we are going around to look on those critical areas to properly ang ginagawa nilang lockdown. Sa ngayon, yung general critical areas natin nationwide includes yung NCR at saka yung 4 na provinces na ating ginawa sa MECQ. So kahapon, we saw that yung the most critical areas right now are the workplace. Yung tinatawag nating mga tinatawag nating mga yung mga economic hubs, at the same time yung tinatawag nating mga industries. Kasi nakita natin mukhang kulang pa ang orientation ng mga workers pertaining yung yung public safety at saka yung minimum health standard. Kahapon we saw that there are grave violations in terms of observing yung minimum health standard, in terms of yung tinatawag na nag-establish sila ng canteen. Yung tinatawag na mga meron silang smoking areas that became the source of contamination. So ngayon kahapon, yun po ang tinitingnan po natin ng reasons why we have this kind of tinatawag natin na mga spikes, and we saw na very vulnerable talaga yung mass transport, yung sa shuttle bus, at saka yung tinatawag yung mga common areas na ginagawang parang kainan ng mga ating mga workers. So sa naman nakikita rin natin sa pag-ikot-ikot natin sa different cities, nakita natin ang pinaka-most vulnerable at critical areas are those densely populated areas, especially yung mga poor communities na very vulnerable in terms of hindi sila makapag-social distancing, considering that yung family nila ay nakatira sa medyo maliliit na bahay lamang. Based doon sa mga data na nakita natin sa mga hospitals, ang nakita natin ang contamination ngayon is not only by individuals. Ngayon, by families na ang contamination. That is, nakita natin yung vulnerability talaga sa workplace at saka yung vulnerability ng mga informal communities na talagang hindi nag-observe ng minimum health standard. That's why ang focus ng ating sinasabi nga Secretary Anyo, 80% of our effort right now is more on prevention. So yun ang inano namin ngayon, na yung changing of the mindset at saka yung natawag nating change of behavior ng ating mga mamamayan ang kailangan pong po natin. So I encourage all the media practitioner na dapat doon po natin i-focus yung ating paglaban dito sa COVID-19 on how we can change and influence our people na kailangan yung kailangang support, na kailangan talaga ng itatawag na orientation and education on health promotion and disease prevention.
Thank you, Secretary. Next question po addressed to our GM Jojo Garcia. Sir Jojo from Noel Talakay. Ano po ang magiging role ng MMDA? Sino ang main implementer ng COVID-19 One Hospital Command Center? Bakit ngayon lang po ito nangyari after 6 months? Ano po ang maitutulong nito sa paglabag o pagbilang ng confirmed cases ng COVID-19?
Good morning. Una-una po, role po ng MMDA po sa utos po ni Chairman Lim na susuporta tayo dito sa One Hospital Command by sa pagpapayaram po ng ating lugar, ating facilities, of course yung mga operational expenses dito kahit paano, nakatulong tayo sa One Hospital Command. Second, ano ba maitutulong nito? Na-explain na po ni Secretary Galvez kanina at ni Yusek Bong na talagang target natin dito mapababa yung fatality rate. So one way of doing that is yung i-free up yung ating mga hospitals sa mga, para at least meron tayong space sa mga severe and critical. Kaya nga nagtayo sa pangunguna po ni Secretary Vince yung mga quarantine facility para sa asymptomatic at mild, hindi na humalo sa mga hospitals. Ang nangyayari po ngayon kasi dahil hindi po naka-coordinate lahat ng hospital before, may hospitals na puno ang critical areas nila, may hospitals na maluwag. To this one command center, mababalansin na po yan. Makikita natin kung saan puno, saan maluwag, para matulungan natin yung mga pasyenteng dadalhin, lalong-lalo na kung severe and critical. Tapos last question, but ngayon lang. Actually, pag di natin ito ginawa, tatanungin bakit hindi natin ginawa. Diba? So, work in progress yan. Bago itong disease na to, lahat yan, unti-unti, moderately, ginagawa po ng national government yan. So, yung tinatanong natin na bakit wala pong huli sa lahat dito, no? Every time na may bago pong gagawin ang national government, yan po makakatulong. Siguro mas more na mag-explain po is si Secretary Galvez. Sir.
Yung One Command Hospital Center na concept, hindi lang po ngayon nabuo ito. Kung makikita nyo, kung pumunta kayo sa Camp Aguinaldo, isang hall doon nakadedicate sa mga hospital, meron tayong Hospital Operations Center. Sa ngayon lang nakita natin na masyado nag-expand na yung nakikita natin hindi lang Metro Manila hanggang Region 3 and Region 4A. At the same time pwede natin expand up to Luzon and Visayas. Kaya natin pinalaki kasi hindi nakasya doon sa Camp Aguinaldo yung operational center. So nung una pa na nabuo ang National Task Force, merong separate na operation center ang DOH. Actually, mas malaki pa nga yung kanilang hall kaysa sa amin sa operation center ng NTF dahil maraming mga dedicated na mga ating mga DOH operation na pinangunuhan ni Yusek Bayogo at saka si Dr. Balboa at saka si Asek Laksamana at saka ang ating masipag na si Dr. Paz. So talagang meron tayong nakabuo na command center and also yung DOH, meron din silang DOH command center. Ang ginawa lang natin, instead na magkaroon ng separate command center ng DOH at saka yung NTF, ang ITF, binuo na lang natin na isang command para maisama rin pati yung mga tinatawag nating mga private hospitals. So ngayon ito po, in-expand po namin at nagpapasalamat po kami kay Sir Danny Lim at nabigyan po kami ng space at kay Sir Jojo dito at saka nabigyan po kami ng suporta ng mga personnel kasi nandito po sa MMDA, maganda po yung kanilang mga facilities dito at saka yung command center dito is world class.
Thank you, Secretary Galvez. Next question po addressed to our Chairman Danny Lim. Chairman, good morning. Sir, pinapatanong po ng ating mga kaibigan sa media kung kakailanganin pa po ba ng additional na puwersa mula sa MMDA? Kung meron po, ano-ano po ang qualifications?
Sa ngayon kasi, ang ating personal status sa MMDA, actually we have almost 8,000. So we're presently working on a skeleton manning. Kaya marami tayong tao ngayon na pwede nating i-dedicate sa pagtulong. You know, MMDA is part of the team. So kung ano man yung kayang gawin na may ambag ng MMDA, gagawin natin yan. So sa totoo lang, marami tayong tinutulungan ng mga initiatives. Marami tayong mga encoders na pinapadala sa mga testing laboratories. And of course, itong command center na ito, hindi natin pababayaan ito, lalong-lalo na nandito ito sa ating sariling bakuran. Marami tayong tao na pwedeng itulong, i-dedicate sa mga initiative na ganito. Wala tayong problema sa tao, although we had our share of the problems dahil may mga tao rin tayo sa MMDA na tinamaan, nag-positive, pero we have been addressing this effectively. Sa totoo lang, dito sa MMDA, nagpatayo tayo ng sariling quarantine isolation area dito, good for almost 50 people. So, kung ano yung maitutulong ng MMDA, ano man yan na hihingin ng anumang ahensya, hindi lamang ng One Hospital Command Center, nakahanda po tayong mag-respond dahil kasama tayo sa team na ito. Kaya kung ano yung kaya nating itulong, gagawin natin yan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. May follow-up lang po. May itinalaga ng ZAR, may NTF, may IATF, may DOH. Hindi po ba magkakaroon ng duplication ng functions?
duplication ng function. Palagay ko, masasagot ni Sec. Galvez yan.
Hindi po magkakaroon ng duplication of function kasi ang ano po natin, yung tinatawag natin na yung mga ating mga different responsible person for every strategies, mas magkakaroon po ng mas magandang focus. Kung makikita po natin, nung nag-establish po tayo ng tinatawag ng One Hospital Command, at the same time, nagkaroon tayo ng mga different SARS, doon sa mga different milestone at pillars ng ating strategy na andyan ang tinatawag natin tracing, testing, isolation at saka yung treatment, nakikita natin lalong napalakas. Kasi yung NTF Command Center at saka NTF National, Regional and Local Organizations is more on reporting and collection of data. At the same time, dissemination and education kung ano ang ginagawa nito. Pero itong tinatawag nating yung mga command centers ng different strategies natin, napapabilis ang coordination. At saka nakikita natin dito, nagiging more integrated, especially yung sa prevention, tracing, testing, isolation, at saka yung treatment. Parang isang body na lang siya na nagtatrabaho na ang bilis at saka talagang tinatawag natin yung response is dramatically and significantly increased in its milestones. Nakita natin na nabuo yung One Hospital Command. Nakita natin na talagang nabuo yung referral system between the private hospitals at saka yung tinatawag nating public hospitals. The coordination also on logistics at saka yung tinatawag na deployments of mga tinatawag na critical items from DOH ay napapabilis din po. So yun po ang nakita namin, there is no conflict but there is also complementary functions ng tinatawag nating hierarchical organizations ng AITF at saka NTF at itong tinatawag nating mga operational one command ng mga different strategies. Nakita natin doon sa Cebu City, doon natin nakuha yung experience na yun, na dapat mayroong mga independent at tinatawag nating yung can be mobilized immediately. So yun po ang nakita natin na mas maganda po dahil mas complementary po siya and it supplements our strategy.
Gusto ko lang dagdagan yung nabanggit ko kanina. MMDA kasi, ang kadil natin dito, yung mga local government units natin dito sa Metro Manila, 17 LGUs, At tuloy-tuloy ang ating pakikipag-ugnayan sa ating mga LGUs. Through this, lahat ng napag-uusapan dyan na ipaparating natin sa national. In fact, halos regular na yung meeting ng mga mayors natin with the officers of the National Task Force. So kung ano man yung mga kailangan iparating ng mga mayors natin kay Secretary Galvez, sa members ng NTF, natatanggap nila yan at nagkakaroon tayo ng magandang koordinasyon between the national and the local government units. At kadalasan naman, kung ano man yung mga issues na pinaparating ng mga mayors natin, na-actionan naman ng ating national. So yun po, maganda yung nagagawa nating pakikipag-ugnayan ng LGUs sa ating national.
Thank you, Chairman. We just have last 7 questions addressed to you, Sec. Vega or Secretary Galvez. Sir, from Rafael Bosano po. In a webinar yesterday, Yusek Vergere mentioned a couple of things that can be expected after the 14-day timeout or MECQ. Is the DOH confident that a lot of what is mentioned will be achieved? This include 100% of households to have undergone symptoms check, 100% of those with symptoms swab, 100% requiring isolation referred, all clusters identified, and patients to have zero out-of-pocket expense.
First of all, una-muna, life is never perfect. We are here to make sure that we can correct all of the imperfections that we have. Yung mga commitment ho ng the Department of Health in terms of hiring the necessary healthcare workers, making sure that the testing is there, making sure that the expanse of the hospitals will be there, and the implementation of the administrative order, the 20% ang private, and of course, itong government, 30% to 50%. We will try to do our best after the MECQ to make sure that pag nagbukas na naman ng economy, we will be able to respond better. Pero itong phase natin ngayon, if compared with the early parts of COVID, we didn't have anything. We didn't know how to act, and we didn't know how the COVID virus would behave. Ito, at least, we are in a better position kasi we identified the enemy. We have making sure that we have the necessary reinforcement and force to reckon with, especially testing, hospitals, and the cadre of healthcare workers that are to be fitted in. We will assume that commitment, and of course, we are here to make sure that the public is served, and we are able to deliver what has been promised.
The different goals that have been mentioned is very tough indeed, and maybe 15 days is not enough to finish them all. But we will continue to pursue those objectives. So ang gagawin po natin ay tuloy-tuloy lang po. Honestly, 15 days is not enough for that, but we will continue to have these goals achieved in due time.
Thank you, Secretary. Follow-up question po for Yusek Vega. Yusek, what is meant by DOH when it said that after the MECQ, the rapid antibody test kits will no longer be used? Does this include DOH no longer recommending this for use by companies for their workers to return to work, as well as those going home to provinces?
The main standard of testing for screening is really the RT-PCR test. The rapid test would have its own function in terms of how you use it. Because if you use this as a screening method on a standalone, it will have many false negatives and false positives. So in other words, that can never test the time in terms of screening. But it has to work with the RT-PCR if that is going to be deployed. But the main function or the main usage of the rapid test is actually a prevalence of the immunity in a community. Kung ilan na ngayon yan ang may antibodies for COVID-19. In other words, it's a prevalence in the community or who has gotten the COVID-19. So all of these tests would have its own use, but it has to be cautioned in terms of the interpretation and using it as a standalone.
Thank you, Yusek. Next question po, DOH can also answer, and our President and CEO, Sir Vince Dizon. Here's my question po. According to the Straits Times of Singapore, the Philippines is likely to become Southeast Asia's COVID-19 hotspot due to our rising numbers of cases. They just want to get your reaction on this, gentlemen. Yes, Sir Vince. Yes, you can go first, sir.
First of all, I think it's very difficult to make speculative statements like that, no? And I'd rather not comment on the speculations made by a newspaper in another country. No, but I think what the data shows us is that since we ramped up testing, we have found more positives.
New event data
And our people have to understand that that is normal. Dati, nung wala tayong testing, hindi tayo nakakahanap ng masyadong maraming positibo. Pero alam natin na lalo na nung nagbukas tayo, nung tayo'y nag-GCQ nung June, dahil sa dagdag na interaction ng ating mga kababayan, dahil lumalabas na tayo sa mga kanya-kanya nating bahay, talagang tataas ang transmission. And magagaman lang natin ang extent o ang dami ng mga na-infect ng COVID-19 tung tayo ay magte-test, magte-trace. No? At yon ang ginawa natin. No? Ang mga ibang bansa, tulad ng Indonesia, ang kanilang testing ay kalahati lang ng ginagawa nating testing ngayon. Isa na tayo sa pinakamataas or tayo na ata ang pinakamataas sa Southeast Asia in terms of tests per day. Umaabot na tayo ngayon ng mahigit 30,000 per day. Ang Indonesia ay halos kalahati lang nun. Ang Singapore wala pa sa kalahati. Halos doble na rin tayo ng testing ng South Korea. So habang tayo nagte-test, talagang mas marami tayong makikitang positibo. Pero mas importante yon kasi kung hindi natin sila mahahanap at hindi natin sila ma-isolate, lalong kakalat at lalong dadami ang magkakasakit. Kaya, mahirap akong mag-comment dun sa dun sa article sa Singapore. Speculative yon. Pero ang masasabi ko, dumami na ang testing natin. Tayo na ang pinakamataas sa Southeast Asia sa testing per day. Nasa halos 1.7 million na ang natetest natin sa buong bansa. Mahigit 1 milyon na dyan ay nasa NCR lamang. At tuloy-tuloy natin gagawin to. Pero ang importante, magtulong-tulong tayo na habang mas marami tayong tinetest at tinetrace, kailangan mas mabilis tayong mag-isolate. Hindi humihinto sa testing ang ating laban sa COVID-19. Kailangan ang mga natetest natin, kung ikaw ay magpo-positibo, kailangan immediately ma-isolate ka. So yun ang ginagawa natin sa tulong ng One Hospital Command. Salamat po.
Thank you. Yes, Chairman.
Totoong pataas ng pataas yung positive cases sa Pilipinas gawa ng mga dahilan na nabanggit na. Increased stress, increased testing capacity, mga tracing capacity natin. Pero ang isang punto na gusto kong i-underscore ay yung ating case fatality rate, yung mga namamatay. Kung titingnan natin yung CFR natin, ikumpara sa ibang bansa na mas konti nga yung positive cases, pero mas mataas naman yung case fatality rate nila. So ito po yung isang bright spot na dapat i-maintain natin ito dahil kung hindi ako nagkakamali, yung case fatality rate natin dito sa Pilipinas ay mga less than 2%. Sa ibang bansa, umaabot yan ng 5% o mahigit pa. So mas maraming namamatay, mas konti nga ang positive cases nila, mas marami namang namamatay sa kanila. Mas marami tayong positive cases, kokonti naman ang namamatay sa kanila. Ibig sabihin, yung critical care na ibinibigay natin sa mga critical cases ay nandiyan, kaya na-maintain natin yung mababang case fatality rate.
Yes, go ahead, Secretary.
Yung tingnan din natin, yung bright side, yung ating active cases lang ngayon is 47,587. Ibig sabihin, mas mababa ito sa ating mga recoveries na 66,270. Then, titingnan din natin yung ating active cases. 91.4% are mild and only 1.3 are severe and critical. Ibig sabihin, talagang kung tumataas talaga yung cases because of aggressive testing and contact tracing, ay talaga pong mag-spike po yan. At saka po, pag nag-open tayo ng economy, considering that we have opened up our economy and lifted some restrictions, it is a causal effect yan eh. So dapat ang natin, tingnan natin yung brighter side of it, na yung cases will continue, but ang importante dito, yung active cases na papababa natin, at ang yung fatality rate ay talagang mababa rin po. Yun po ang kasama po sa strategy natin for as long as we manage yung severe and critical cases and reduce death to the minimum, we are good.
Thank you, Secretary. Gentlemen, may clarification lang po si Ms. Joyce Balancio of DZMM. Hindi niya po alam kung sino po yung pwedeng makapag-address nito. Ma'am, may sinabi po kanina na application sa phone numbers to call. Meron din pong QR code to access ang command center. Can we clarify if ordinary citizens can go and contact directly the command center or dapat pong idaan sa LGU, then LGU po ang tatawag sa command center?
No, any citizens or institutions or facilities can directly call the call center, yung number which we provided. Then the call center, if there is a need, will call the MMDA responders, which is based here in the MMDA platform, to connect with the different institutions or facilities, TTMFs or hotels for the possible coordination.
To add to that lang, no, ngayon na launch na ang One Hospital Command and yung ating contact center. Siguro hihingi tayo ng tulong sa ating mga partners sa media na i-disseminate yung mga numbers na flash kanina. So we will be sending the numbers to our media partners. And also, if we could ask also our media partners to help us disseminate on social media as well, para our people know who to call. No? So kahit na sinong citizen ay pwedeng tumawag po dito para humingi ng tulong at ng advice sa mga katanungan nila. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Now we just have last two questions directly addressed to DOH, to Yusek Velga. Sir, from Philippine Star po, Mark Kayabyab. It was mentioned that the One Hospital Command Center would help decongest hospitals in terms of moderate and severe cases. How will this help hospitals who have been using tents to confine suspected COVID patients waiting for their confirmatory PCR results? This was reportedly the situation of Manila hospitals where tents have been used because the COVID ward has reached its full capacity. The medical chief said using air-conditioned tents is not the ideal situation because an enclosed space increased risk of transmission, but they did not have a choice. Thanks po.
First of all, when the COVID crisis came, we have to be very frank that in the medical community, and even the hospitals, we didn't know how to act in terms of providing the necessary infrastructure for the COVID-19. And COVID-19 is very infectious, you all know. So the first defense mechanism that most hospitals did was to come up with a holding area. Holding area meaning to say that these patients who are probable or suspects cannot enter the hospital unless and after they are positive. But those who are positive with the results of a positive RT-PCR can directly access the COVID-19 stations or wards. Now, the issue here really is the turnover of patients in the holding area can only be made fast if the results of the RT-PCR tests are fast. In other words, if the patient is negative, then he has to be admitted in a non-COVID facility where there is a different kind of isolation from the COVID. So if the RT-PCR tests and the are given in 48 hours, then the turnover is faster, and we can actually ease out the people in the tents. But on the ground, you know very well that the testing sometimes and even the clearance with the results would come in days. And this is the reality, because most of the laboratories workers now are also getting, they have lacked because of healthcare workers getting sick. So the longer the turnover in the holding area, the harder it is for the patient to be there. And we understand that very well. So in doing so, I think hospital administrators or hospital directors must come up with parang innovations on how they can best put their patients in a holding area, whether they want to put it in a tent or in a section of a hospital. It's an administrative concern. But the concept of COVID and non-COVID must be there in terms of separation so that the health workers and the patients themselves will have a better kind of division on treatment in terms of where they are.
Thank you, Yusek. One last question po bago tayo mag-wrap up from Joan Nano po of UNTV. Yusek Vega, ilan na pong hospitals ang nag-commit to extend their bed capacity? How many healthcare workers have been hired since the emergency hiring started? Plus the hiring po of those who will be under the healthcare worker reserve. Thank you, Yusek. Sir, yung first question po ay tungkol po doon sa hospitals na nag-commit po to extend their bed capacity.
Okay, I'll give you parang a figure on this. When early July, when we started to implement the 2030 for private and the government, the 30% allocations, we took notice that about sa private ho, mga 8% complied. Only 8%. And for even the government sector, only had about 16 or 17%. That was the first week of July. So, but when we started to talk to the different hospital directors and the both public and private, they have gradually increased this to private. In the last week of July, we was able to accommodate already about 18% of them came up with a 20% allocation. And about 20 to 22% of public came out with a 30% allocation. You know, it's not easy to convert wards into COVID wards. It's not just a placement of beds because you have to make sure that you address and retrofit how safe it would be for the health workers and for the patients. In other words, there has to be a doffing, donning, entrance, exit, and a negative pressures that are to be there. If there is no negative pressure, then you have to have good ventilation. And of course, aside from the infrastructure concern in terms of converting that, it would also mean that you need to have another team of healthcare workers going on duty after Team 1 has done their duties mga 10 to 14 days after. So, ito yung this is the reason why it's not easy to adjust at once. And we fully understand that. But we're saying that as we move towards this month and we are possibly expecting a possible surge, we need to move as fast as we can so that ang allocation natin of 20 and 30 for both private and public must be there.
Thank you so much, Yusek Vega. Maraming salamat po sa dumalo sa ating launching of One Hospital Command Center. Palakpakan po natin ating mga sarili. Thank you so much. And to our treatment czar, Yusek Leopoldo Vega from DOH, thank you so much. To our Secretary Carlito G. Galvez Jr., our Chief Implementer, NTF COVID-19, thank you so much, sir. To, of course, our Chairman Danny Lim, GM Jojo Garcia, and to our President and CEO, Sir Vince Dizon, our IATF EIAD Deputy Chief Implementer. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.